Welcome back, everyone. I'd like to introduce Mr. Tony Hill. He is the president from Edwards and Hill Furniture, and he will be doing our lunch and learn and presenting this afternoon. So welcome, Tony.
Hi, Vicki. How are you?
Well, thank you.
Good, and thank you for the introduction. Good afternoon to everybody. Hopefully everybody has gotten an opportunity to grab a bite to eat. And I'm going to talk to you about my company in just a bit. But before I do, I like to, especially in forums like this, try and be as authentic as possible. As a business owner, I know how important it is for those of you who want to do business with the University of Maryland to understand what it means and how to get it done. So before we go into the specifics that I've prepared for you, let me just speak from the cuff here, if you will, about what's happening here today, because there are a couple of things that I see that I think are extremely important and that will hopefully encourage you as business owners. First and foremost, my company, Edwards and Hill Office Furniture, has been doing business with the University of Maryland for just about 10 years. And we've seen a lot over that period of time. And I'll tell you, first and foremost, you need to be patient as you work diligently. It took us 2.5 years before we actually got any work with the University of Maryland. But here we are almost 10 years later, and things have been well. Now, I'm really excited, and that's what I wanted to share with you, because of what I see here today. And were we in a forum where we were together, I tell you all to give the University of Maryland a big round of applause, because here we are in the middle of a pandemic, and the University of Maryland has seen fit to make sure that this diversity fair still takes place. And to my 10 years of doing business with them, they are knocking this one out of the park. And so let's go to the beginning of this new University of Maryland, I'll call it. And that starts with the vision and the commitment of Dr. Suntha. Met Dr. Suntha when he was at the St. Joseph's Medical Center, along with Patrick Vizzard. And they both had a serious dedication then to making sure that they grew the hospital and got the hospital into the black. And that is why I believe they are leading the charge here with the entire system now. And so I believe that with a number of the people that you heard speak, I've had the opportunity and the pleasure to talk with, to work with, to do business with them over a period of time. Again, Patrick Vizzard, Daryl Neely, Tessa Abate, many others. And they're amazing people. All of them are very good at what they do. And what I think the game changer is going to be, which is why I'm so excited, is Dr. Suntha is the relatively new coach. And as we can see from today, he has a serious vision and a serious commitment. And I really believe it's going to change things. So with that in mind, let me jump into my presentation. And I'll warn you, this presentation is going to be an awful lot about my company. But what I plan to do is show you through the walkthrough who we are, what we do, as it relates to the University of Maryland in particular, to hopefully give you some insight as to how you might be able to get your company into the system, grow with the system, learn the system, because all of those things are really, really important. So let's move along here. I'm going to give you a brief history of my company, talk about some of our products and services, current clients in particular, of course, University of Maryland, and we'll talk about some past projects, and I'll have some specifics about those that I'll share with you that, again, I believe and hope will give you some insight as to how it might help you in terms of doing business with the system. We'll also talk about what sets Edwards and Hill apart, because at the end of the day, we're talking about a healthcare system here. And so I'll encourage you as we go through the process to think about how you do business with the University of Maryland, maybe a little differently than you think about your other clients. And then we'll talk about best practices, because they come into the process as much. So we're Edwards and Hill Office Furniture. We are 22 years old, founded by myself and my business partner, Hans Edwards Hill, and Edwards and Hill. And we kind of stumbled into the furniture thing. We did not start out as a furniture company. We started out doing promotions and project management and planning. We fell into furniture about 1.5 years in. It simply wouldn't go away, so we eventually, after about 9 years, admitted to ourselves that we were a furniture company. And the rest is history, so to speak. So I say that to say as well, what I started out in the beginning by saying is that you really do need to be patient. That doesn't mean that you don't push to have things happen as quickly as is possible. It simply means it may take time. You may not walk in the door and get a contract tomorrow or next week or next month, but you need to be persistent. And then there is a fine line between being persistent and being overly persistent. And so again, it's about developing the relationships. And what I found is that the organization does want you to be successful and will help you to be successful. So we offer corporate furniture, healthcare furnishings. We focus on hospitality as well, and education and utilities. And you can see a couple of our big clients here in the middle of the screen. Smack dab in the middle of the screen is the University of Maryland Medical Center. So we've done large projects. We've got a decent portfolio of business that we've done over time. But this is 22 years in. So early on, we didn't have lots of past performance. We had some, but not lots of past performance. But what we did was develop it over time. We began a conversation with the University of Maryland and listened for the pain points, listened for what was important to them. And after about, again, 2.5 years over time of conversations, we were finally told, okay, we're going to give you guys this small project and see how you do. And that small project was the medical office building on the Eastern Shore. You see just a few pictures of some of the things that we did there. And so what we did was we listened very intently. There were two things that happened that I think were critical. And one of them we all know. We are all in business to make money, yes, but organizations like the University of Maryland need to save money so that they can be profitable, so that they can provide care to the patients. And so we believe in a true partnership. And in that partnership, it's our job to help the University of Maryland do just that. So I'm sorry, I think I'm seeing some boxes here, and so I can get rid of these for you. 1 second. Hopefully we are all clear now. Hopefully everybody can see everything clear. It is important that, again, we pay attention to those pain points. So when we talked to the gentleman who was in charge of this project at the time, one of his concerns was that he'd had a bad experience with the project before, the one that we worked on. So we listened very intently to the issues that he had, and we made sure that we overly addressed those issues. It went very well for us, went very well for the project manager. As a result, he wrote us a strong letter of recommendation, and that was kind of our entree into the University of Maryland. And I say that to say that reputation is everything, absolutely everything. So does Edwards and Hill office furniture do everything perfect every time? No, we don't. But if we have a misstep, if there's miscommunication, if something goes wrong, even if it's not of our doing, we don't worry about pointing the finger at who did what or why. What we focus on is, how do we fix this for our client at the University of Maryland? Because one of the things that I want to point out to you as well, and I talked about thinking about things in a different way, is that, and I'm showing you a picture here of St. Joseph's Medical Center. We installed the medical library there. And you see pictures here. And so this is furniture. It's just furniture, right? And so we could think about things in that way. It's just furniture. Well, it is just furniture, but at the end of the day, this furniture in whatever setting supports people who have one end goal, and that is to take care of their members of the community. And so it's bigger than just furniture. There we go. Yeah, so I was saying, thank you very much. I was saying that, it appears to be just furniture. And at the end of the day, though, thinking from my client's point of view, the University of Maryland is providing healthcare to members of the community. So when we think about the furniture, and I encourage you in whatever line of business that you are in, when you supply those items to the University of Maryland, or when you present them with those items, keep in mind that it is about more than just those items. I would encourage you to keep in mind that at the end of the day, It's about providing health care to members of the community. Next slide, please. So here is a medical office building, or actually a patient financial systems building that is actually our second project that we work with on the University of Maryland system. So 120 workstations and some private offices. I show you this project because it was another way of Edwards and Hill office furniture bringing value to the University of Maryland. When we started this project out, before we actually set foot on the ground, it was just furniture. And as we discussed with the project manager what the entire project entailed, there were a number of other disciplines that we could bring to the project to make it turnkey. So we ended up doing an awful lot. On this project, we did the audiovisual, we did the carpeting, we did the furniture. We had a GC partner that we worked with, so we did some build out of some private offices and a number of other things. So again, that was thinking out of the box, providing a greater value for the client. And those are the types of things that as business owners, of those of you who are in the webinar, I want you to keep in mind what pain points can you solve, what added value can you bring to the system to make you stand out. That will help hopefully get your foot in the door sooner and help you to grow your business once you are in the system. We can move to the next slide, please. And here, just again, another option where it's just furniture, right? But this furniture supports people. And I'll tell you, again, complete transparency. I think transparency is a really good thing. On this project, and I think if you look at the pictures, everything looks fantastic. Well, on this project, my staff dropped the ball. I think we had one piece of trim that goes on the edge of one of those workstations, and it didn't come in from the factory. And because it looks so nice, my folks forgot to come back and order that piece of trim. And so the end user of this space did have to call us and say, hey, where's my, and I, but oh my goodness, those are the types of little things that can cause you little blips that you don't want. So I'm just telling you from experience, make sure you dot your I's, cross your T's. But if you do have a misstep, because none of us are perfect, make sure you take care of it. We can move on to the next slide, please. This is something that is very, very timely. Early on, once the COVID pandemic became such a problem in the country, including here in the state of Maryland, everybody was scrambling, including us, and we were all learning at the same time. I tell you that to say be nimble. Be nimble and try and prepare in advance. And so we got a call from the University of Maryland, and they needed a way to give their patients separation. And so we scrambled, and the challenge was that there were many options to satisfy the need, but everybody was trying to get those options. So the lead time at the factories were backing up, and the University of Maryland needed it quickly. But we were able to be agile. We were able to pivot and get them what you see before you, which was a way to give the patients that were waiting some separation. So again, be nimble, be ready to pivot, because from time to time, especially in a healthcare setting, the client may come to you and you may have been doing things a certain way for 5 years, and they may need you to take a little bit of a pivot to meet their need. Try and be ready to do that. Next slide, please. This talks a little more about what we did before, turnkey solutions. This is just a little of what we do as a company that I believe brings extra value to our partner, University of Maryland medical system. And so we're a full service furniture dealership. In many of these instances, and you heard about some of them during the presentations, there are new buildings, and some of them there are renovations. And in those situations, you're going to have architects involved. But in some of the instances, it's an existing building, an existing hospital, and there's nothing structurally changing with the space. They just need an upgrade in furniture or need furniture replaced. And so we, as a company, can actually come in with our designers and who are our employees and measure the space, draw the space, create drawings similar to what you see here on your screen so that we can get the furniture that the client needs, that the end user needs, deliver it, and install it. And again, this would be something that we couldn't provide if we were missing that middle step. And therefore, the client would have to go to an architectural design firm to get those things. So anything that we can do to mitigate those, we hope brings value to the system. We keep skilled installers on staff. In my industry, many furniture dealerships don't do that. To be quite honest with you, it's not the most cost-effective way of doing business, but we think it's valuable because we can respond quickly. And again, when we talk about furniture, if it was just furniture, then it might not be a big deal to wait until next week or next month to get it fixed. But if it's a chair and that chair is sitting in a waiting room, then it needs to be fixed now. It needs to be fixed right away. So by keeping skilled installers on staff, that's one of the other ways that we bring value to the system. And then we have a number of certifications, contracts, and awards. Some of those contracts allow us to give the university even deeper discounting. The awards and the certifications simply show us, or show the client, the University of Maryland, that we're ready to go, that we're certified in areas that will help you to meet your goals. And of course, any awards that you have just show that you are good at doing what you do. And that's what you want to be able to demonstrate to the University of Maryland again and again and again, because, again, as you've heard today, there are many different locations around the state. And I'll tell you, there's still locations where we have not worked yet. We want to, but we have not. So as you go from location to location, people are kind of getting to know you all over again. So again, anything that you can have that demonstrates who you are, how you do business, that you're ready to do business, when you go to that new location, is going to hopefully shorten the learning curve for you with that location and shorten the learning curve for the folks at that location with your company. Next slide, please. So best practices, and this is really key. In business in general, I think we would all agree. But I'll go back to it because I think it's so important. This is a healthcare organization, and it's not just about whatever the item is that they may purchase from my company or from yours. At the end of the day, it is about taking care of people. So when we go back to the slide that I showed you where we gave the partitions to give separation for the patients, we didn't haphazardly do that. We thought it through. And we said, okay, we know what the application is, and we know that we're talking about a COVID pandemic here. So they're going to need to sanitize these panels. Normally, those panels would have fabric on them. We said, well, we can't do fabric because they're going to need to sanitize them. So we made sure that we used vinyl, and we recommended it, got approved, of course, but we used vinyl so that it would stand up to the hospital grade cleaners that would be used to keep the area disinfected. And so, again, those are the types of things where you want to try to forecast, try to be thinking ahead so that you can meet the needs, again, of a healthcare system. We offer furniture all day long, but the furniture that we sell, deliver, install to the University of Maryland gets an extra level of scrutiny, if you will, because it's different than the furniture that's just going to be in somebody's office, or the furniture that's going to be in a casino, or the furniture that's going to be in a hotel, or the furniture that's going to be in a school. It's different because at the end of the day, there's a lot more hanging in the balance. All businesses are important, but we're talking about health and lives here. Next slide. This is just contact information for myself and my business partner. And I would not just encourage those of you who are business owners, and granted, we're all busy, but we also believe you have to give back. And that is a key to working with the University of Maryland as well. The University of Maryland is keen on giving back to the community. So they like to hear, they want to hear that you are hiring locally. that you're hiring people who live in the communities where they do business. That's one of the things that we do. We've hired people who had some issues with the law in the past. Pardon me, but we believe that when they've served their time and they come home, that they should be able to make a living like anybody else. And we believe that that'll have some impact on recidivism. So again, University of Maryland is a community leader. They're a great partner, and I'm really excited about this next level of partnership with the community. So when you think about doing business with the University of Maryland, think about it from a holistic point of view as it relates to community. They are concerned about what happens inside their doors. They're equally concerned with what happens outside of their doors. And we all have seen and heard during this presentation today that they are very keen on the fact that one supports the other, one depends on the other. And so the more you can do to make sure that you're addressing all of those things, you want to make sure you get all those things checked off, then that will hopefully give you that extra step, that extra leg up when you get a meeting that will hopefully make them more enthused about working with your company. So to that degree, my business partner and I are perfectly willing. If you are interested in doing business with the University of Maryland, we by no means can make that happen. But what we can do is we can take a call from you and you can ask us some questions. We'll be frank with you. We'll tell you, here's some things you might consider doing to make yourself more presentable. Here are some challenges you're going to have within the organization if you don't have these certifications already in place, and so on and so forth. We believe there's enough business out there for everybody. We want everybody to do the best that they can. And to the extent that we, Edwards & Hill, can help you become a vendor for the University of Maryland, and to the extent that we can help the University of Maryland, which is why I'm doing this today, by the way, partner more with minority and women-owned businesses, then the better it is for all of us, because it helps the community, it helps the economy. And what we've got here is an ecosystem that, if it works properly, and I see the University of Maryland being well on its way, if it works properly, then it really does lift us all. So I hope that what I've told you today has been helpful, and I hope that I can help in the future. We also have a virtual booth here today, booth number 4. Feel free to come by if you'd like to ask questions, and make sure that you take down our contact information and reach out to us if you would like to talk to us about how we might advise you in terms of making your company better positioned to do business with the University of Maryland. My time is just about up. I hope that this has been helpful. And again, I want to end by saying, and I'm serious about this, I've got 2 other clients who have done things similar to the way University of Maryland are doing things now. And I have seen the tremendous impact for minority businesses and women-owned businesses with those clients. And so, having been in this business for 22 years, having seen many processes, many stories unfold, I can tell you that University of Maryland is really on mark to do some great things, and I'm glad to be a part of this right now. Thank you.
Tony, on behalf of University of Maryland Medical System, thank you so very, very much. Your commitment has been real and deep with us, as Donna Jacobs had mentioned early this morning. So thank you again.
Thank you, Vicki. My pleasure.
And at this time, we're going to introduce Pat Vizzard, who is my boss, Vice President of Supply Chain Management and Strategic Sourcing, and he's going to have some final words for the trade fair. Pat?
Thank you, Vicki, and everyone, thank you for staying with us. And on behalf of the University of Maryland Medical System and the Supply Chain Management and Strategic Sourcing areas, we want to thank you for joining us on this year's virtual Supplier Diversity Fair. This is the first that we have held a fair virtually, and I want to thank everyone for your interest in partnering and doing business with us. We'd like to thank all of our speakers and guests and all of those who have participated in the Diversity Fair. It's integral to our success as an organization that we continue to work and foster diverse supplier relationships with our communities. The next portion of the fair is the virtual booth sessions, where you'll be able to meet and hear from leadership from around our system to learn more about their areas and doing business with them. The areas represented are the UMMS marketing, human resources, supply chain management, Edwards and Hill Furniture, the UMMS construction and facilities planning, our group purchasing partner Vizzard, our UMMS IT department, and each of our hospitals will be represented by the virtual booths. To access the booths and for more information about our departments, please visit the Diversity Fair webpage. And again, thank you and have a great day.